Good day and welcome again to another live show here on Love Bay Music Radio Show with your host, Dr. Maria McDonald, and me, Dr. Alvin Hepburn. This is our time with the Relationship Marriage Hour, and we are so happy that you are joining us today. So we say, call a friend, call a significant other, call your husband, call your wife, um, and tell them that the show is on. Yes, the Relationship Marriage Hour show is on. And yes, this is the Love Bay Afrobeat Music Talk Show, your number one African Caribbean diaspora online radio. So thank you for joining us and welcome again, Dr. McDonald. How are you today?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's so good to be back here this afternoon.
Yes, it
Yes.
is. It's a privilege always to share the stage with you as we look at different concepts and aspects and things that happen in relationships. So today we want to talk about this divorce. Let's talk about the divorce today, and I want us to try to give our listeners a handle on how we can divorce proof our marriages, how we can, or what do we need to do to ensure that that word is never mentioned in in your relationship, in your marriage. You never have to go to a divorce court, and if you have done it already, gotten divorced, we pray that if you go into another marriage, you never have to go down that road. So we want to talk about that. We're just going to touch the surface today. We want to talk about that. And I'm so happy to be joined by Dr. Maria. I've only been married for 19 years, going on to 20 years. But, Doc, you've been married for over 40 plus years, eh?
Yes, that's right. 40, I think 43 or 42. Yes.
42 years going on to 43. It's been so long, eh?
Yes.
Yes, so
It's
we
been that
we
long.
yeah, so you have some nuggets, you have some good some good ideas because if you've been married for some 42 plus years, I know that there's been some wisdom that the Lord has revealed to you. There's been some things that you have done and continue to do to make sure that your marriage remains healthy and love is still there between you and your spouse. But let us start this way because what I think, Doc, let's start, and you know I like to start at the beginning. What I think is that people, for the most part, especially in our culture in the Bahamas, I think that people enter marriage for the most part with the wrong concept. You have persons who enter marriage because they want somebody to make them whole. You have someone who enters marriage because they need an escape from their parents' house. You have some who get married because their friends are getting married, and it's just the right thing to do that they think. Um, and it seems good. But I want us to talk right there to that person who feels that they should get married, but they are not mature enough. What do we say to that person, Doc?
Well, Doc, I hope they would have been listening to our program for the past 4 weeks where we had our guests talking about will you marry me? Because when you think about getting into marriage, it is not to be taken lightly. If you are considering marriage, there is something called you must count the cost. See if this is your way of escape because you don't need to leave your parents' house hoping that marriage is going to fix the situation. You have to sit down with that person or look at that person, see if they are the type person you want to marry,
Mhm.
see if there are qualities that you're looking for in the spouse, see how they treat. I often say, watch how they treat their parents. And there's so
Yes.
many things you have to look at before you step out I am going to get married. If you do that, you will find yourself, could find yourself, not would, could find yourself between a rock and a hard place. Because in every marriage talk, you will have conflict or disagreement. How you handle those conflicts or disagreement is what determines how far your marriage will go. So you cannot just jump into it. Take your time, make sure this is what you want, and then move. If you're not compatible, don't go. And I love what our previous guest said. They talk about the 5 when the person or getting before you get married, which is you're strangers, you become acquaintance, then you become casual friends, and so on. And these are the things that you need to begin to look for before you talk about going out there to get or to come out your parents' home. Things may not be the way you want it, but guess what? That's your parents. They would be the last to turn against you. But when you get in that relationship, you say you're forsaking all else. You move away from mother and father, you cling to your spouse. Now, it may not be the environment you're looking for. So take your time before you make your choice.
Powerful, powerful stuff. Doc, you said some things that I want us to even highlight even there. Um, you did not say. Let me tell you what you did not say. You did not say conflicts may come. You said conflicts will come.
That's
So
right.
that's a guarantee. Oh
It is.
wow.
It is.
Because people feel that okay,
And why it's a guarantee? Because different people.
yes, but people feel like if conflict comes, that means that the marriage should split because we don't see eye to eye. But that's not what it means. It
No.
conflict comes so that once you compromise, you get better, you learn each other better, and that then helps out the
Mhm.
relationship. But yeah, I like that,
Yes.
Doc. I like that. Because
Mhm.
not many people can handle conflict. Only the mature, and there we go
Only.
again, the mature can handle conflict.
Yes.
Because the immature takes conflict and even conflict resolution personal.
Yes.
They
Yes.
internalize it. They don't learn from it. They think you are attacking them. You think you're
Hmm.
trying to destroy them. But in a conflict situation, as you navigate yourself through that, you realize that this was sent to make us strong. I was
Yes.
listening. I was listening to a clip by Dr. Miles Monroe, and he was sharing something that I think is so powerful. He was saying how in the Asian or the Chinese language there is no such word as crisis.
Wow.
The the word that they write as crisis that 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 we interpret as crisis is the word opportunity.
There you go. Powerful.
What a
Power.
different way to look at it. So,
Yes.
what some people see as a crisis, others see, oh, hallelujah, as
I like that.
opportunity.
Yes, I like that. Wow.
And that's why some of our Asian brothers and sisters they flourish during what we're calling crisis
Yes. Yes. Wow.
because they say, okay, a problem has arisen. How do
Hmm.
we handle it?
Yes.
And
Yes. Yes.
that is so key to a productive, to a healthy marriage. Is that, and oh, Doc, you said it powerfully, that problems will come. No
Yes.
ands if or but about it.
It will.
As long as the as day follow night or night follow day,
Hmm.
as Monday, a Tuesday comes after Monday,
Yes.
problems coming in the relationship.
It's coming.
It's a must.
It's
Now,
coming.
how you deal with it, your
Is
attitude towards how I handle this will determine the outcome, whether you learn from it or it hurts you, whether it makes you better or it hurts you. What you say about that?
right. Yeah, and that is true, Doc, because because we go into it with a blinded eyes or with blinders, we feel that there should be no conflict. Everything should be
Mhm.
lovey-dovey. But what strengthens the marriage is the fact that you have conflict. And I
Wow.
love the Chinese translation of it. They see it as opportunity because it gives opportunities to go over that hurdle to learn something new about your spouse, learn how to resolve it. Whereas some people sweep it under the carpet, or they may just try to totally avoid it from causing a problem. No, talk. There are things that you can talk about. I have a little grandson. He's 3. And anytime he has a conflict with one of his cousins, he will say, I am sad. When they make him mad, he said, I am sad. And I'm like, oh, that is so cute. I am sad. So, in other words, he's letting you know, I don't feel good about what you did.
Yeah.
All you have to do is share it. Share it with one another. Talk about it. I don't like this. And I always say to people, if you are going to confront a situation, never go with the word you. Always say, I do not. I do not. Because the minute you say you cause that person to put up a defense, and then it's on.
Yes.
Like my grandson says, I feel sad. Then you can share, let them know how you feel, let them know how you feel. I don't like how this turned out with both of us. I don't like it. Right. And sometimes it only takes a talk to fix the
Yes.
problem. Just a
Doctor.
conversation.
Yes. Just a conversation is all that needs to happen. So that's one thing, is that people are entering marriage immature.
Immature, yes.
Immature.
Yes.
And mind you, immaturity alone does not bring divorce, but
No.
immaturity can lead to other things
Right.
spiraling that can bring divorce. So, yes, you could say, well, when I got married, I was immature, but I'm still married. Yes, because you did not stay immature. And
Yes.
immature was just one of the issues. So that's
Mm-hmm.
just one of the issues. You have other stuff that we're going to talk about right now. We now going to talk about this one, Doc, selfishness.
Whoa. That's a big one.
That's a big one. Where I must always get what I want. The world owe me something. And if you come into my life, you must cater to me, give me what I want, when I want it, how I want it. It's all about me. This is my
Yes.
party. This is my ball. I'm going to keep my ball. If you all don't play the game the way I want it played, then I'm going to take my ball and go home.
Uh-huh.
That is what we see. And I know you
Yes.
counsel persons, and I have counsel persons who when they sit in front of you, they're just saying what their conflicts are. And most of the part I just sit and I just smile when I hear, I need this, I want this, I. And then I let them run on until I say, okay, that's the problem.
That's the problem.
The
It's
I
only
problem,
that.
the selfish
Yes.
problem.
Yes. Yes. And it is so true. Oftentimes we don't see when we are the problem. We always can see. And the Bible tells us about having a beam in our eye, and we're trying to take out a little speck out of your eye. And so we want things to go good for us, but we do not consider the other person. What is their want?
Yes.
What is it that will make them happy? You know the thing, Doc, if we seek to please our spouse, not to be pleased, it will alleviate or prevent a lot of selfishness because as
Wow.
you give, there only can be reciprocity. It has to come back. If you give kindness, you give niceness, and if you may say, well, he doesn't know how to appreciate it, but continue to give and show the love, show her the love, right? And guess what's going to happen? eventually something is going to click. I've not been doing it, but he is nice to me. She's nice to me. So what you think is going to happen? It's going to begin to come back to you, right?
Yes.
But
Yes.
oftentimes we want you to work first. You fix the problem first, and then I'll fix. Then we'll always have a problem.
Yes. Yes. Doc, you actually, as I thought about when you presented this theme to me that you wanted us to discuss today, and I thought about it over and over, and I said, you know what I want to be my driving point, and you've already said it. So gee, I have to now piggyback off of you. You already said what I wanted to be my highlighted point, and my
Right,
highlighted point is is just you do you do your best,
right.
basically.
Yes,
Whether your
yes,
spouse or your partner do their best or not, make up in your mind. Your mindset will be, I will give my best.
yes. You're 100%.
Thank you. I will give my 100%. And think about it. If that's your mindset and that is your partner's mindset, oh my Lord,
You got a beautiful relationship.
you got a beautiful beauty even in the word. Yes, because
That's
see,
it.
I I thought about it, and earlier on, Tanya and I we decided on, well, Alvin, this is some of the things you will do, and she's like, this is some of the things that I would do, and we started on some roles that we will take.
That's good.
And many times, Tanya have gotten me very upset that I said, you know what, I am not going to do what I told her I was going to do. And as I sit down, I realize, well, Alvin, then what is this all about? Are you just doing for her to do, or are you doing because it is the right thing? And I will still
Uh-huh.
get up and do what I'm supposed to do because that's what it is. That's what
That's what it
marriage
is.
is. Whether
Yes,
whether I feel like it or not, I still get
you
up
do
and
it.
do.
That's
Whether
it.
you feel like it or not, you still get up and do. Why? Because the other person is counting on you to
Yes,
do what you say you can do.
that's
So
right.
so so I don't do what I do so she can do for me. I do what I do because I love,
That's right. That's right. Wow.
hoping that she will do what she's supposed to do. But if she doesn't do what she's supposed to do, that's not going to stop me from doing what I'm doing.
Doing your part. That's right. That's good. And that's
Because because and it goes back,
what.
we can use Dr.
Mhm.
Monroe again. It goes back to that concept that Dr. Monroe taught us is marriage is perfect. The entity is perfect. The two people who enter it are not perfect. So really don't do it for the person, do it for the marriage.
Exactly. Wow. Now that's powerful. Because you carry it, because you have this label, you in this marriage. Make it work. Make it work. It's a beautiful thing. So you cannot
Yes,
just
doc.
go into it. You cannot just go into it and wanting it to work itself out. You have to go in with intention. We're going to make this thing work.
Yes.
We're going to make it work. And we know it's not going to be easy, but selfishness can never be one of the things that, in the relationship. You know, Usually when a person is just married, newly married, within that first year, you always find selfishness more prominent than any time because now you're coming out of a world where everything was you. You did what you want, you went where you want, but now it's we. And because it's we, the thing you used to do before as a single person, you have to now rest that aside. It's like you take on a new garment,
Yes.
a new outfit, and the one you had before cannot fit, no longer fit. And if we can realize, make a division between the two. When I was single, I loved to do things this way. Now that I'm married, I cannot do what I used to do. But it is a hard part for newlyweds to get from that point of single we becoming one. But
Yes.
it takes time, and I would encourage the persons that are listening, maybe especially those newlywed, wed. It takes time, and all you need to do is when you realize you are gravitating to that selfishness, then you stop and consciously says, I can no longer be this way. I have to do it this way. And the more you do it, the more you will come out of that selfishness.
Yes. Powerful, powerful stuff. So yes, if you wanna fireproof your marriage or divorce proof, make sure divorce is nowhere in, and that's what we're talking about today. If you're just joining us, I am joined with my co-host, Dr. Maria McDonald. I'm Dr. Alvin Hepburn. We're here out of Nassau, Bahamas, here on the Love Bay Radio show. So you could call a friend and call your partner to say, tune in now because they're talking some good stuff. If you want a divorce, proof your marriage. First thing, first thing we talked about, which is just so powerful, is that you can't be selfish.
Can't be.
You got to be mature. Those are the two things we've talked about. Maturity. Marriage is not for the faint. Marriage is not for the weak at heart. So children shouldn't get married.
Mm.
And the thing
Wow.
is, we have some children in grown-up bodies.
Wow.
So your body may be that of a grown-up, but if your attitude, if your disposition, if your demeanor is still childlike, then marriage at this time may not be for you. You still got more more time
Yes.
because your mental capacity needs to be greater. Because marriage is not for the weak at heart.
Hmm.
So you got to be mature. And mature people know how to sit down and rationally discuss issues.
Discuss it. That's right.
And then and, and then you cannot be selfish,
Yes.
self-absorbed. It cannot be all about you. In a marriage, you are not going to get in any relationship. Think about it, in any relationship, you are not going to get 100% of what you want. Even on your job, you don't get 100% of what you want. Because if you leave it up to most of us, we would want to make the top money and do the least amount of work.
That's right.
But it is a give and take situation. It is a give and take. If you give this, we give that. It is a
Hmm.
mutual understanding, a mutual agreement entering by two or more individuals. But for a marriage, man and woman is what we believe, and that's what we teach. One man, one woman, mature, come together and say, I'm going to do my best to make you your best.
That's
Oh,
right.
now that is powerful right there,
Wow.
Doc.
Yes.
Powerful. What
Do your
if,
best
boy,
to make you. Wow. I
thank
like that.
you.
I like that.
Wow, that is powerful. That if the woman say, I'm going to do my best, that you be your best, and the
Mm.
husband say, I'm going to do my best, that you be your best, what type of marriage will that be? Wow.
Explosive. Beautiful.
Explosive.
Yes.
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 And that's the way I think it should be. Each one
Do
of
you?
us doing our best to support the other.
The other. Wow. And I think that is something that should be practiced early in the relationship. So you grow together with that. I'm
Yes.
doing this to make her best. I love it. But I have a question, Dr. Alvin. Do we find that the men in relationship in marriages are selfish? You think the men are selfish from a
Yes.
woman perspective?
Yes, I think so. See, Understand,
Okay.
understand. Um, for the most part, when a man enters a relationship, he's looking for his mother.
Ah.
He's looking for his mother. Um, you grew up with your mother. She pampered you. She made you feel like you're the best thing. Um, sent sliced bread. What She was there for you. She was there to listen. She was there to cook, clean, do all of that stuff. So there is a gravitation to a woman who we think will produce like our mother. And it's the
Wow.
same thing on the other hand for the average woman. Um, they're looking for their father.
Mm.
That man who came and provided, he was strong, he was there, he nurtured. And two, let me let me even clarify that, because there's some of our listeners there who would say, well, I didn't have that experience with my mother, or I didn't have that experience with my father. But
Hmm.
even as in our childhood, we all formed an idea of what mother should be, of what father should be.
Yes, you're right.
You will form that idea. So even if that idea was not your reality, the idea was there.
Right.
So there
Wow.
is an innate ability in you, or there's an innate desire in you to try to get that
Yes.
and to fulfill
Wow.
that. So in each and every one of us, there is a level of selfishness,
Mm.
but that selfishness should not overpower our ability to be selfless,
Yes. Yes. Wow.
because we still need to um, get to the point where, yes, Doc, I would love it every day if I come home and I meet a hot cooked meal. I meet the children in bed, put to bed. I meet
Hmm.
my clothes for tomorrow ironed, and everything in the house leveled. And my wife says, "Honey, whatever you want, you could get." I would love to get that every day. Some men would say I would love to get that
Wow.
some days, but I would love to
That's
get that.
ideal. That's
But
ideal.
more than likely, that's not going to happen. So some days you may get it, and some days you may have to give it.
Yes.
So
I like that.
that's where you become selfless, in the fact that you say, you know what, um, I don't need that part of me fulfilled every day.
Yes.
There's a greater good, and if I get it a month from now, that's fine. But I'm not going to leave the relationship. And two, I want to plug this in right here, Doc. One of the
Hmm.
things that I say to Tanya over and over, that she needs to thank my father for the type of man that I am.
All right.
And let me tell you what I mean by that. I have seen my mother and father go through hard times, where my father didn't work for years because of the construction industry was down and all that type of stuff in Grand Bahama, and he could have go sometimes 6 months without having a job. I've seen
Wow.
that. I've seen them argue. I've seen them have that disagreement. But
Right.
one thing I always knew about my daddy: if he goes out, he coming back home. He always came back home.
That's good.
Him and my
That's good.
mother, mind you, we may not have seen or hear them work it out, but they worked it out. And even in his lowest point, he always came back home, and he did his best with what he had.
Wow.
And
Like,
that is a testimony to, you may not get what you think you should get, but you should give your best
yes. Yes.
anyway.
Yes. But Doctor, the younger generation, the Gen Zs, the millennials, they do not have patience,
Oh,
right? So I see some of that being the problem, right? I'm thinking about a young man that is selfish, but the selfish is not the problem. What is the problem is the spouse cannot come and talk to you to resolve the conflict because you're only seeing from one side.
Mhm.
And I don't want to put all the Gen Zs, all the millennial in that category because there are some that would have gotten some good advice and upbringing from someone who would have helped them along the way. But I think the
Hello.
able to, humble yourself to say, well, look here, I know I'm selfish or I know I am just one-sided, but, things can get better. Things can get better.
Yeah.
So that is something our younger generation needs to look at.
And you know
And
what,
guess what? I'm
Doc?
saying,
Our younger generation, our younger generation is just a product of us.
wow,
When
wow.
and let me explain what I mean by that. Just yesterday, was it yesterday? No, on Friday, I was having a conversation with my father-in-law, and my father-in-law is telling me as to how he, because he's a veteran, he's a retired teacher, and he's been just about on every family island teaching for the Ministry of Education. And he was telling me as to how he went from one island to the next, and there was no current on this island, and how they had to get generator, and he had to learn how to fix a generator because if the generator broke down, um, back then he had to wait for the Ministry of Education to call the technician who may have been in England at the time. So they had to wait for that person to fly in from England to then come there to fly to Cat Island or whichever island he was on to fix the generator. So he learned about fixing generators and stuff. And I'm like, you're the principal of the school and you got to fix a generator? And he's telling me
Oh,
about all of these things that he went through. And I make this joke. I said to my father-in-law, a, a difficult day for me growing up was when current went off and the hot water heater wasn't working. That was
oh,
difficult
yes,
because I got to bathe
yeah,
off in cold water. And he laughs at me
yes.
and he says, if we wanted hot water in my day, we had to go start a fire outside, get a pot, put the pot on the on the fire and heat up the water. That's how they got hot water. And Doc, this is what I think of is that his generation went through all of that, but you know what they said? That was hard living. I don't want to live like that anymore.
Wow. You are
So
so right. Wow.
so when his children came, his children was brought up in the I don't want to live like that anymore. So his children never experienced what he experienced.
Wow.
And and listening to him, I'm like, I growing up, I thought all of the islands had current because I don't know life without it.
Wow.
So so now for my children, they don't have to worry about bathing in cold water because you know why? Because that was rough for me. I say, boy, I ain't gonna do that. So now my children don't know what it is to bathe in cold water because their daddy decided I'm not going to subject myself to that.
Right.
So now they don't learn those lessons that we learn on how you don't always get things the way you want,
No,
but you make
that's right.
do with what you have.
That's right. Wow.
So in our motion to become better, when our children and grandchildren come on board, they only experience what we call better, but now our better is
Right.
their worse.
Wow. Wow. So what good we thought we are doing, we were making more harm than. If
Yes.
we are
We- mhm.
making it everything easy for them.
Yes. Think about it, Doc. Think about it. When
You
you
know,
went to school,
yeah,
you may
yeah,
not have had a calculator.
yes,
You had to do math in your head. You had to
in
do
our head,
mental
yes.
math. Now,
And I
these
just shared that.
children, yeah, now these children got a calculator and still don't know what to do.
Still don't know what to do. They still don't. And that's taking a page out of your seniors' life and learning from what they did. You know, one of my daughter made a statement and it always stuck with me. She said, I don't have to make mistakes. I can learn from other people's mistakes. So
Hmm.
if we see segue in a bit, if you see somebody is not making it because of the things they do, then you try to do what is the right thing. Sometimes we can see that they're heading down a treacherous road to divorce. Um, but if they would just stop, those that may be watching them, you watch your parents with arguments. And sometimes some kids make up in their mind, okay, I'll never get married because my parents always argue, right? Or my parents always did this, right? So I'm not going to get married. But you can learn the good of what they did not learn from their experience because they did not take time to talk. And when you get your spouse, you would take time to talk, find out why something is bothering you, find out why it's not working right. And these are things that we can use. Look at somebody else that you can visibly see because sometimes we see people living look like they got the best relationship in the world, but behind closed doors there is nothing close to being united. So you would know about a person, especially a family member, based on what you can see. Learn from your parents, learn from an aunt, learn from a family member, and do make it work.
Hmm.
You know, and
Yeah.
that's the best teacher I can say. What they are not doing right, you pick it up. You look at what if they had done it this way? Could this have worked for them?
Doc, and that is so powerful. That's one of the next keys that we need to gather or to use in this divorce proofing your marriage. First, you have to be mature.
Right.
Second, you cannot be selfish. Third, you got to be able to learn not just from your mistakes but from other people's mistakes.
That's right. That's right.
You have to
And
look and see, and you and I have talked about this time and time again, where marriage
mhm,
is two different cultures coming together to form its own culture. That does
that's
not
right.
happen overnight. Think,
Oh,
boy, we 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 think it hard, and we actually have the scars of it when England came and dominated or took over the Caribbean and they brought their culture here. It was a clash.
wow.
It was a clash.
Yes.
But they
Yes.
stick it out
They
and
stick
they
with
did
it.
what they had to do. Now
That's
look at
right.
what we do out here in the Bahamas. We still drive on the same side of the road that they
At the
drive
same
on.
time. That's right.
We still drink tea like they drink tea.
Oh yeah.
We still
Morning,
do
night, and
many
noon.
things like they do. Why? Because they sticked it out and they
Yes.
infused us with their culture.
That's right. That's right.
And that's
Wow.
how it has to be. The
That's right.
husband, the wife must come together with their two cultures, be
Hmm.
mature enough to know there will be conflict. Why? Because we have to
Yes.
bring these two cultures together, marry the two cultures, that as a result, one culture comes out.
That's right. That's right.
And once that comes out, that's how we run that marriage.
Yes, yes. This is beautiful. So listen to what we say in there, and it's telling me. And if I was somebody listening, I would clearly grasp everything, because I believe that everyone that goes into a marriage is not merely going into it to end up in divorce.
No.
I don't think they're going there. But when you fall short, or when you refuse to communicate, when you refuse to uh, come together, resolve conflict, resolve the disagreements, and see your spouse as a part of you, but yet a unique individual. And what the tendency with the man is, oh, you're the woman. And that may be so. You're the woman in the home, and you have to make sure. But the responsibility for raising the child is the father. But they
Yes.
leave it to the mother. They leave it to the mother, and she's doing the best that she can. But look at the difference in the home. And when the mother talks, that child will listen to an extent, unless she is one of the Margaret Thatcher woman. But when daddy talks, immediately, right? So with husband and wife, when you because you went into the marriage and you didn't go in it just to end up in divorce, you have to put aside some of your indifferences. And you know what, Doc? We know when we are bad news, we, we know when we are selfish in terms of
Yes.
what we do to our spouse. We know,
Yes.
right? But when it's brought to the front, or the other spouse have to say, well, I don't like how you're doing this. We make a big, you know, upset about it.
Of course. Yes. Yeah.
And because
Yeah.
of that, we find sometimes wives may just leave it alone, sweep it under the carpet, because if I bring it up, it's going to cause another argument. I want to say to those men, come on, let's man up. Take your role as the head of the home and help that woman. You don't have to always be right. I don't know why I feel like I'm talking to someone in the audience. You don't
Yes, you
always
are.
have,
Yes, you are.
you know, you don't always have to be right. If you know what I admire, a man that can stand up and say, I'm sorry.
Mhm.
Stand up and say, I'm sorry. That's powerful. But when you're trying to find excuses for everything you do, that shows who you are. But you're
Yes.
more powerful when you can say, look, I did this, I'm sorry. And all of these things, Doc, help to contribute to a healthy marriage without divorce,
Yes.
right? We do not have, I was thinking, Doc, and I was wondering, when can we say one can get a divorce? I don't
Oh
like
wow.
divorce. But
Neither
here's
do
this:
I.
if you are being abused, physically abused, beaten down, mentally abused, maybe you need to cool off. Um, um, just go to yourself and get a cool off. Maybe if it's just for a while, and see if this helps the situation. But if you see it doesn't help the situation, this is the only time I would tell someone to get out of a relationship if they are being beaten to pulp, right? Because that's not something any woman should go through.
I agree. I agree. That and I have dealt with situations where it has also even been the case of infidelity, and
Yes.
the couple sits in front of me asking what to do, and I always advise this. This is what I always advise when conflict gets so hot, or so heated and so heavy that you guys can't see eye to eye on anything. I advise always separate. I need to explain that. Not divorce, but
Right.
go in separate area until you cool down. One of you may could take a trip,
Okay.
go away for about a week, go away from each other, so that you can give yourself time to process.
Yes. Yes.
Give yourself time to go over what has happened, because there's sometimes, Doc, the best way to fight a fire is not to go rushing into it. It is to
Oh yeah.
step back and see how the fire is behaving. And then when you step
From that
back,
perspective. Yes.
yeah, you see a different perspective, and then you're like, oh, okay, this is not as bad as I thought, or this fire isn't
Right.
going in the direction that I thought it was going in. Then you now know how to come back with your game plan and how to handle it. And that is my advice most of the times. Listen, you all may have to cool off for a minute or so. So
Yes.
you go
Yes.
your way, let her go her way, and listen. This ain't saying it's a free for all because you went your way. You could go see other woman or go do it. No, you were separate. You separated so you could find out where you are, what you
Yes.
need to
Yes.
do, and how you can get better. And then you
Wow.
come together
Yes.
again and try to
Yes.
rationalize it. So that's my advice to
That
people.
is good advice. That is
Yeah,
good advice. That is good advice. Because I'm tired of seeing our marriages ending up in divorce or ending up in separation, because we cannot come together and resolve our conflict. Though we cannot resolve our conflict, or
yeah.
we bring in other third party into the relationship that cannot give good advice.
Mm,
That's another area that can cause you to have more problems. You go out
mhm.
there, you bring mom, and mom is siding with you, or you bring dad, and he's siding with his son, right? Always look for a neutral person. If your
Yeah,
parents can be neutral, third parties can ruin because of the way they're advising you. You know.
yes, yes. Yeah, and two, I know of a situation, Doc, and this has brought light even to me and um how I elevate the voices of my family and those others in my circle, how I elevate their voices or at
Right.
what level it should be. I know of a situation where the wife's family
Uh-huh.
tells her, "Boy, what are you doing? It seems like your husband is lazy. You doing all the work. All when we come by is you.
Wow.
Then the husband's side of the family is telling him the exact same thing. Boy, what is your
Yes.
wife doing? It seems like when we
Yes.
come around, you doing all the work.
Uh-huh.
She's lazy." And when
Wow.
I listen to that, I'm like, oh yeah, because that's people coming from two different cultures. And what one group call
Wow.
lazy may not be what the next group call lazy.
No.
Because let me use let me use from my culture, from my background, Doc. I
Right.
thought I thought rich people were lazy people. Let me tell you what I thought rich people growing up, I thought rich people was lazy people because they had other people coming and cleaning up their house.
Wow.
You have to be lazy to have somebody else come and clean your house. Because from my culture, Saturday mornings was the day that we
The
got up
cleaning.
and we cleaned the house.
Yes. Yes.
That was from
Yeah.
my culture. So anybody now coming to clean our house, then that means we lazy. We ain't doing what we
Mm.
supposed to do.
Wow.
Whereas now I see it from a different standpoint
Now you're
because
talking.
now I'm working 9 to 5, well more than 9 to 5, sometimes 8 to 8, and
Uh-huh.
Tanya's working. She's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing, and we're raising the children on a Saturday morning, which is one of the only days we have to ourselves We don't want to get up and have to go clean. That's our only day to
No,
rest.
exactly.
So
So
I
we
say
have
to
to
her,
adapt.
listen, let's pay somebody $100 to come and clean our house, eh?
That's right.
And two, for a while, I got resistance from her because she was like, these people can think we lazy. So she came from that same culture that I came from, but they can say, well, we must be lazy. We got to pay somebody to clean our house. But then
No,
I realized that's not being lazy.
no
And then
way.
I thought about it. Rich people, people who stay rich, they can't be lazy because they got to do something to generate that money. So
That's
what are
right.
they doing to generate that money?
That's right. They're thinking smart.
Thank you very much. So that's different cultures coming in, different
Yes,
cultures trying to figure out what must be done, what have to be done,
yes.
and what you may brand as lazy, somebody else brand as boy. That's another opportunity.
Wow.
You understand? So this is stuff that we got to work out,
Hmm.
and this is why when man and woman come together, they must say, listen, I'm going to bring my culture, you bring your culture, and let's mesh them, and let's see
Yes.
what beautiful
What together?
culture we develop as a result. But I can't bring my feelings in that,
No.
because problems, like you said at the outset, Doc, problems will come.
Yes. Yes. Wow.
Disagreement will
Will.
happen.
Yes. Yes.
Misunderstanding will happen.
Will happen.
Not a might. It will happen. But the mature person says, in the midst of this, because I love you, you love me, and we have made a commitment to each other, we're going to
Yes.
work through it. So, therefore, if you want to divorce proof your marriage, you got to make sure that you are mature.
Hmm.
You got to make sure that you are not selfish. You got to be
Yes.
able to learn from each and everyone. And we didn't talk about this one yet in word, but you got to learn how to compromise.
That's what I'm thinking. That's right. That's what I'm thinking. Because you said a
Yes,
mouthful when you talk about uh, um, hiring somebody to do the work at home. Usually men feel that the women, oh, the housework, you can do it. You don't need a maid. You can do the housework.
hmm
But imagine if that woman have to go to work, come home and cook, clean house, take care of the children, do the homework. And the list is endless.
hmm
The list is endless. And at the end of the day, she's too tired. All she can do is crash. And then you got another problem because he wants to play, right? What do you think
yeah,
is going to help that relationship,
yes,
right? We have to be able to compromise. We have to be able to help one another in the
hmm
relationship. And when we do that, it can make things work for all of us. You know,
yes,
I had to get a maid because with me and my 5 children and everything, we have to go to work. So I had a maid come in and clean. But when the kids got at a certain age, my husband said, you know what? I don't think I should pay for maid. They have to now chip in and help with the
yes,
housework. So we were able to compromise, and that's all we need to do in our relationship. Sometimes it's only
yes.
you know looking out, see all he's doing, and let go and help her. You know.
That is true talk. That is so powerful. That is so
Mhm.
powerful. That
Uh,
and and that helps you.
It helps. Yes.
And it goes back to the statement that we made earlier that I must do my best to make sure Tanya is at her best.
That's it. That's it. Bring us right back there.
And Tanya must do her best to make sure Alvin is at his best.
That's
And
right.
if doing my best means, Tanya, I see this is too much for you. I can't
Mhm.
do it. You can't do it. Let's don't fool ourselves. And
Right.
and you know what? I had to take Tanya to a family member that the family member had to break it down to her. The family member said, "Listen, I work all day, every day. Saturday is
That,
my only day off.
that's right. You want to rest?
I want to rest, and I don't
Yes,
mind because listen, what I make in an hour, I could pay this woman to clean my house for the
that's
whole
it.
day.
That's right.
I can't give up an hour's wages for her to come clean my house. Why not?
Why
So
you
I can
take it?
just lay in bed an extra couple hours,
Yes, yes. And all
and
of this
after that,
causes something. Mhm.
yeah, and after that, Doc, on the ride home from that cousin, my wife said to me, "Go call the maid." I say, "Thank you. Let's go."
Hey,
And that lightened her load, because
that's
then
right.
too, there's only so much I was
There's
willing to do.
right. That's right. And she will reach a point. There was only so much she was willing to do because
Thank
when
you.
you have to go on a job, work from 9 to 5. When you reach home, you're mentally tired.
Mhm.
So imagine on top of that, you have to now go help the kids with the homework, go and cook, prepare for work the next. Man, look here, that will drive you. That will drive you.
Mhm.
I know wonder there are some relationships that are really going downhill because they haven't learned how to deal with it. What if
Mhm.
there's financial problems where they cannot hire somebody? Then this
Yeah.
where compromise come in. Both of us now have to do the work, but
Yeah.
we have men who feel the housework is all for the woman.
Yeah.
But like
Yeah.
you said, that you do your best to make Tanya become her
Do
best.
be your best. Yes.
That's right, and that's what we have to realize in the relationship. For the men, for the women, we realize we have to now begin to help each other because it's too much. We may not have enough to pay for maid, so let's fix this thing.
Yeah. 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 So we have to do what we have to do to make it work,
That's right.
and
That's
and
right.
and that's what the marriage is all about. I'm working to make sure this works,
That's right.
and you must work to make sure it works as well. And there will
Yes.
be times where we will disagree, but we will not be disagreeable. I
That's right.
disagree with you, but
That's right.
and this is something too that the Lord taught me and I learned earlier. Alvin, if you see a problem, but you don't have a solution, you leave that problem alone. You keep your mouth closed until you have a solution for the problem.
That's
Because
right.
just pointing out the problem,
Doesn't
you
help
are
it.
now a part of the problem.
That's right.
And that's what the
That's
problem is. So if I
wow.
can enter a conversation with this is the problem, but this how I see we should deal with it, I don't even
Mhm.
enter a conversation about a problem because I
Do
ain't
you
ready to deal with it.
do you realize how stressful that can be? If you
Yes.
identify a problem, you're making noise about the problem, but you have no solution to the problem. That is stressful. But those are the things that will lead to divorce. Because at the
Yes.
time you see the problem, you're rowing, you're fussing about the problem. The poor man or the poor woman don't even know what to do either. But
Yes.
you're fussing. That's stress. So, Doc, these are the little things that can cause relationship breakup. So we need to stop being selfish. I don't have the answer. You don't have the answer, so I don't have to say anything to you. I totally agree with you, Doc. Totally agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So there is so much that has to be done, and we are just touching the tip of the iceberg in
That's right.
in that there's so much that we can talk about, Doc, on how we can do away with this ugly thing called divorce, how we
Yes.
could help our brothers and sisters all around the world, from every culture, from every tribe, from every corner that you are watching us. We are just giving you just a few tips on how you can try these things, but there's a lot more we can talk about. But we are not out of material. We just getting out of time. So
That's
so
right.
we want to encourage you to, if you are already married, do not seek divorce. Not yet. Let's see what we can do to help, because that marriage can once again become a beautiful
Yes.
union between a man and his wife. and they can become the best that God intended for them to be. What's your closing statement, Doc?
I totally agree with that, Doc. And I want to say to those that are listening, those that are having challenges right now in their marriages, I want to tell them, hold on. It can work, but it takes time and it takes
Yes.
patience and compromise. So don't throw in the towel yet. Just hold on and let's work it out.
And thank you for joining us here at the Love Bay Afro Beat Music Talk Show, the #1 African Caribbean diaspora online radio show. Thank you for joining us. And we want you to see us again next week, same place, same time, for another energizing, informative discussion with your host, Dr. Maria McDonald, and I, Dr. Alvin C. Hepburn, here out of Nassau, Bahamas. Be blessed until next time.